What's up, y'all? This is Corey from the OverLook, and we go over the books you may have overlooked. We're going to be covering the second volume of Gerard Wey, Nick Derrington, and Laura Allred's Doom Patrol. As of today, we have reached 1,300 subscribers and almost 25,000 watch hours. That's a lot of time, and I don't think I can really fathom how much. So, I just wanted to take a chance to thank you all again for sticking with Jen and I as we try to balance this whole work-life podcast thing. Anyway, besides going in on too much of all that, let's begin. But before we get started, let's ask, how have you been, Niles Calder? A man well past his prime who carries an unassuming aura. Niles will certainly notice you before you notice him. And today, Niles is stalking Larry Traynor. He followed Larry to the local mall and has been keeping a safe distance between the two. For instance, as Larry makes his way to the food court and orders himself a meal, Niles hides behind an indoor plant next to the restrooms. Niles Calder is a peculiar man, and those that know him don't trust him. "Hey!" Robot Man yells, scaring Niles. "Of all the no-good, lousy..." "Cliff!" Niles interrupts, deliberately lowering his voice. "Funny running into you here. Are you shopping for some new dungarees? Perhaps an engagement ring?" Cliff ignores the question. "What are you doing here, and why are you spying on us?" "I've been reading about the rogue ions they're apparently putting in Kung Pao chicken. It's all over the deep web." At that moment, Larry sees, or more likely, hears the two arguing and walks over to greet them. "Hey, Chief, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a minute." "Why are you talking to this guy like he was your bunkmate in basic? He's a dangerous and deluded psychopath." Niles smiles. "Really, Cliff? You're just throwing around buzzwords. To answer your question, Larry, I've recently come to learn that the Doom Patrol has reformed, and, to my understanding, lacks proper leadership. I'm here to offer my services." Much to Cliff's chagrin, Niles asks the two why they would settle for good when they could be great. If they want to see the Doom Patrol return to their former glory, if they want to save the world at large in the way only the world's strangest heroes can, if so, Niles is their man. "Absolutely not," Cliff grunts. Larry shrugs. "Now hold on a minute, Cliff. He's got a point. We could be doing so much more. We're pretty aimless right now. I mean, look at us. We're at the mall." "Because you told me that's where you go to clear your head. And I figured if you cleared your head, we could plan our next move." "And knowing this is where you go to clear your head, Larry, is precisely how I found you both," Niles says. "I never forget the important details." "So, you obviously remember that very important detail where you caused all our accidents in order to turn us into superhuman oddities so we could execute your needlessly complex and self-serving plans." Niles lowers his head. "It's not something I'm proud of, Cliff. But I've spent many years reflecting on activities such as those, and I like to think I've done some learning and growing. I want to heal this world of hurt. I'll let you both discuss it. Find me at the Orange Julius stand when you've prepared to take charge of your destiny. Later, Casey Brink is across the street from her still broken apartment, stapling missing ads on a light post. Her cat, Lotion, has been missing since all that business in space with the Vectra. She really misses him. Suddenly, she hears a roar of laughter over her shoulder. I can't with you. You're too much. Then, there was that time Cliff got duped by a phony guru and walked into a speeding truck. Larry and Niles continue to laugh with each other as Cliff raises a hand to wave at Casey. Any luck finding Lotion? Still nothing, she sighs. I've been to all the shelters in the city and canvassed the whole neighborhood with posters, but I've got no leads. Larry then takes some time to introduce Niles as the chief, founder, and former leader of the original Doom Patrol. And he is going to be leading the team again for kind of a trial run. Moreover, Niles offers Casey his assistance. It has come to his attention that Casey is an amputee, and he can fix that for her. However, Larry says that can wait as he drags Cliff into Dannyland to tell Jane the good news. She is apprehensive at best. Niles Calder, leading the team again. Are you sure this is a good idea? Larry brushes off her concern. I know what you're thinking. This is the guy who caused the accidents and experimented on other individuals and masterminded a plot to destroy the world using nanotechnology and turn the other half into freaks of nature. And Larry, interrupting Jane, remembers the times he met Niles in his subconscious. I hear what you're saying, but I really think he's changed this time. I can't explain it, but I just have a really good feeling about this. Well, you don't need my permission, but my psyche is still recovering from the struggle with Dr. Harrison, so I'll be staying here to continue mending. And Flex is acclimating the remaining cult members to Dannyland, so I guess that means you three will be on your own for now. Later, within the laboratory of Dr. Niles Calder, the chief instructs Negative Man to equip the uniform that he has prepared for the occasion. Negative Man obliges, but has some concerns. I don't know, Niles. I can't really move my fingers in these new bandages you gave me, and they're really making me sweat. What was the purpose of them again? The chief removes the metallic calf and foot from Space Case's leg and prepares a jar full of a mysterious blue goop. Without looking at Negative Man, he responds, the sacred nature of the bandages you received from the negative entity mean they are likely vulnerable to witchcraft and other forms of sorcery. So I've switched you over to my new and improved treated plastic bandages similar to your original ones. Now, Miss Brink, if you would be so kind as to scoot a little closer. The chief dunks a popsicle stick into the blue substance and continues to spread it across the bottom of Space Case's leg. I'm applying a chemical compound I call Grobel to your residual limb. It'll feel cold and itch like the dickens, but once the Grobel activates, there will be no stopping what it can do. And look, presto, new leg. Take these pills and put this on and thank me later. Space Case stares in disbelief as a new foot and calf sprout out of her extremity. In even more disbelief that the chief didn't give her much time to decompile all of this before pushing her aside. At that moment, the hissing of steam fills the air as a machine door opens and Robot Man appears, slightly different from before. "The brain transfer is complete," the chief cheers. "Looks like our Robot Man is ready for the spotlight." "I'm practically naked," Robot Man barks as he examines himself. "You're free. Expose your form for all to see and let that wonderful body breathe, man. Also, the experimental Oriya metal that body is made of prefers to be exposed to fresh air. But you're virtually impenetrable in it. Now, if you'll follow me this way." As the chief leads Robot Man and Negative Man to the other side of the lab, they run into Space Case, who is now donning the uniform the chief gave her. The clothes don't exactly fit Casey's style, but the sight fills Niles with a rush of nostalgia. "Rita! I mean, Miss Brink. I see the customary honor garb of our cadre suits you well." "Is there a reason we have to wear these?" "Research proves that soldiers fight harder in uniform. It also reduces casualties due to friendly fire. Now, if I could have all of your attention." The team leans in as the chief tells them they have an infestation. Creatures that make you wake up in the middle of the night, covered in sweat, spouting bad idea after bad idea. They've got scants. The trio of heroes repeat the strange word back in confusion, and the chief echoes back the word once again in confirmation. "Scants." Scants are creatures from another dimension that place bad ideas in your head. When your brain accepts these bad ideas as good ideas, a substance called idiot secretes from your ears. The scants then harvest this secretion and take it back to their home dimension, where they refine it. And things really start getting interesting. Furthermore, when a human acts on these bad ideas, an even more powerful type of idiot is produced. Scants are always in the room. You just don't know how to see them. After an awkward silence, Space Case asks, "So, how do you find them?" The chief quickly turns around in his chair. "By freezing your face mid-sentence, and..." The chief, like he said, freezes, and suddenly, a number of creatures begin to appear out of nowhere. Some crawl on the floor, some the ceiling. The ends of their limbs cling to the flat surfaces like melted wax. The team reels back in disgust. That's when the chief turns back around and tells them that if they kindly follow him into the next room, they can begin their journey. It hasn't been long since Valerie Reynolds had been saved from the cult dedicated to Dr. Harrison, the multi-mother. To commiserate, Samuel Reynolds plans a small celebration. He prepares his special green bean casserole for him, his mother, Valerie, and their son, Lucius. Sam knows that Valerie used to love to eat casserole when they lived in that little apartment on the west side of town. In fact, he figures they should head down there tomorrow, maybe catch a movie. But Valerie isn't up for it. She hasn't really been up for anything lately. And honestly, she doesn't have much of an appetite. Now, within the scantiverse, the chief has cast off the idea of using Danny the ambulance for any kind of assistance. They won't need any fancy ambulances where they're going. As the Doom Patrol can see, by using a method of travel the chief calls cubing, they are able to slip sideways into the scantiverse dimension, the dimension of the scants. Right now, they are following the path of the Plaidstrom, a stream that leads our realm to theirs. And all the while, they are being watched by a strange man in a red cape. Robot Man comments, "Chief, I don't know why, but for some reason, this is kinda bumming me out. Your brain is simply adjusting to the Oriya metal your body is constructed out of. The metal itself has a measurable degree of emotion, but it's nothing to be concerned about." The chief points to the opposite side of the cube. "Over here, we have what they call Gots, or the Sea of Frozen Faces in Scantanese. It prevents any scant from entering the city invisibly by nefarious means. Lucky for us, the contours of our vessel protects from such detection. And behold, Scantaria, city of the scants, home to malformed ideas beyond the limit of human imagination." Each of the members of the team equip their jetpacks and follow the chief as he rolls out of the cube and into the open air. But not before grabbing something to defend himself. "What are the weapons for?" Robot Man asks. "I thought this was a scientific expedition." "We've got to be prepared for anything, Robot Man. Now, if you'll turn the orange dial on your control belts to setting 8, it will create a radio frequency that displaces us from the scants' field of vision, making us invisible to them." The team continues to soar above the city, unseen by the scants. Here, among their hab structures, you'll find a family of scant enjoying their state-provided nutrient load together. Notice the infant playing with that electric knife on the floor. "That's a bad idea," gasps Space Case, interrupting the chief. "Exactly," he commends. "And look, this one is making art, albeit a crude, abstract form. But the government isn't going to take kindly to that kind of rebellious self-expression. It's a raw, dictator-driven communism here. Wealth and resources are distributed equally among the scants, decided by the government, foregoing the class system that exists in a capitalist society. And here, you'll find what makes the whole system function: scant workers, who we will follow into this refinery. Scants take all the bad ideas they acquire on Earth and bring them to refineries such as this one, where the ideas are turned into viscous jelly." However, as the Doom Patrol make their way to the storage center of jelly, they are met with another group of individuals closing in on the same goal. "Rats!" the chief curses. "It's Dan Scram and his gravity pirates." "Rats! It's the chief!" echoes Dan Scram. "Let 'em have it, boys!" The Doom Patrol fly in to attack while the chief barks orders out behind them. Evasive maneuvers, Doom Patrol, and unload those laser rifles when you get a shot. None of the team members have time to fully grasp the situation and proceed with their instructions. Robot Man yells out, I'm crying, but I have no tears. I'm in hell. Blast it. That Oriah metal is more emotional than I thought. It seems to be reacting to the violence you're committing. Pull back and take cover, Cliff. The chief then circles the room until his enemy is within earshot. Give it up, Scram. This is my turf. Negative Man overhears this and turns his attention toward the chief and Dan Scram. I'm not here for the jelly, Niles. Scram chuckles to himself. I'm shutting you down. Before he can say any more, Negative Man shoots him. The chief calls out, Negative Man, there's no time to unleash the negative spirit. Go into the back panel of that firebomb and break the circuit. Robot Man gets his arm shot off, and Space Case shoots her weapon wildly in an effort to give him some cover as he goes to pick it up. Dr. Calder, there's too many of these goons. I don't know how much longer I can hold out. Do your best, Space Case. Negative Man, how are you doing with the bomb? It'll blow any moment. Negative Man turns back to the chief and holds up his hands. They're wrapped tightly, giving no room for him to move his individual fingers, giving him no ability to defuse the device. It's these damn hands, he cries out. I can't. At that moment, the bomb detonates. Dan Scram is just barely able to make it away from the blast in time. He furiously begins scooping off chunks of the Uma jelly off the wall and consumes it. I've had enough of your crap, Calder. You're going down with me. Dan, you lunatic! What are you doing? Man is not meant to ingest concentrated Uma jelly. You'll doom us all. Dan's body bursts out in boils. Then, his proportions begin to distort and liquefy until he's nothing more than an amorphous blob of skin, teeth, and Uma jelly. What the hell is happening? Screams Space Case. He's evolving. Evolving is really just a series of bad ideas strung together. When we act on these bad ideas, we make mistakes and often suffer fatal consequences. Over time, species learn from these mistakes and evolve. Our brains and bodies adapting to exterior input, it becomes encoded in our DNA. And since Uma jelly is the most concentrated form of bad ideas in the known universe, consuming it alters biological advancement at an immeasurable rate. By eating the jelly, Dan has caused himself to transmogrify past 3 million years of human revision. Dan Scram's new alien body hovers in front of the Doom Patrol. Now, he's more similar to a psychic squid than any kind of human. Robot Man picks his arm off the ground and smacks Dan Scram across the face in order to buy his team some time. The chief holds up 2 purple packets to Negative Man and Space Case before saying, Time to act fast. I've got some Uma that I've altered. Everyone, quickly eat these protein bars. But what's it going to do to us? Asks Space Case. I don't want to turn into something like that. The chief, growing impatient, responds, Nothing I can't reverse, Casey. Now chew! Both Negative Man and Space Case bite down on the Uma bars, and instantly, their bodies begin to tear apart from the inside out as their DNA is reconstructed from the bottom up. The pain is immeasurable. The chief solidified the evolutionary properties of the Uma with a lycanthropic virus from outer space and transformed the two heroes into psychic werewolves, the natural predator of evolved man. And from the looks of it, the gravity pirates are taking off, fleeing for their own good, and not a moment too soon. Dan has unleashed an evolved human brain blast, something Robot Man is vulnerable to, but not Negative Man and Space Case. The chief sicks the two now rabid heroes on his foe and orders them to not only attack Dan, but devour him, down to the very last morsel, while he extracts the Uma jelly, and then zaps the two of them with a reversion ray, returning them both to human form. And they make off with the stash, out of the scantiverse, and back to the laboratory of Niles Calder. Two aliens with black overcoats and golden visors are awaiting the Doom Patrol when they arrive. Rizzo and Scorp, nice to see you both. How have you been? Niles asks cheerfully. Cut the crap, Calder. We're here to collect. You'll find the Uma jelly aboard the cube in easily transportable graph slabs. Should be more than enough to settle me up with Bruno. You'd better hope so, deadbeat. Or your bottom half won't be the only thing that's not responsive. As the two strange aliens unload the Uma jelly, Niles tells the team, Well, Doom Patrol, I'd say that mission was a resounding success. What do you say we make this union permanent? Yeah, we're gonna take a pass on that. Casey rolls her eyes. If you could get Cliff's brain back into his old body, we can... What the frick? Out of nowhere, Casey's newly grown leg dissolves into itself and she collapses on the floor. Niles reaches into his jacket pocket and retrieves a small pink box. Not to worry, Miss Brink. You just need to keep taking these Niles nutrients to keep that leg healthy. If you follow me, I can apply some more growth. What is wrong with you? Casey screams as she slaps away the box of nutrient capsules. Larry, trying to be the voice of reason, says, Niles, I think it's best if we part ways. I mean, I don't even know how to explain what just happened out there. I also think you're gambling again. I understand, Larry. I've failed you all. For the last time, it seems. I'll get you all sorted out before you leave, if you follow me. Later, when Cliff is back in his right body, he comments that he doesn't remember anything, but he feels funny and his head hurts. Well, that should do it, Niles comments. If you all board the cube, I'll get you back to... We'll take the bus, Casey huffs as she leads Cliff out the room. Larry is the last to leave. He waves goodbye to Niles, saying, I guess this is goodbye. If I were you, I'd do some real soul searching and ask yourself if this is the kind of life you want to continue leading. Until then, take care of yourself, Niles, and see you around. That night, Casey returns home, exhausted. She started the day looking for her cat, Lotion, and she ended it with another trip with the Doom Patrol. Obviously, things didn't go as planned, She shuts the front door behind her, completely unaware that she is being followed. By Lotion, nonetheless. But a Lotion that walks on two legs hides its body of fur under layers of dark clothing. It contemplates following after Casey, but ends up changing its mind once again. Elsewhere, at Blake's supermarket, a supervisor goes to check on one of the stocking employees. "How's it going, Chad?" "Good. Almost done getting this new product on the shelves." Interesting name," comments the supervisor. Sure is. Sure is a lot of it, too. "What does it do, Rich?" "Well, Chad, I think it's supposed to make everything better." "I could use some of that," Chad sighs as he finishes stocking the last box of shit. "Me too," Rich agrees. "Me too." Keeg, the negative spirits entity that usually resides within former pilot Larry Traynor, has been making progress beginning the work of altering the biological makeup of the duplicate Danny Land inhabitants they picked up from their time travel rescue mission aboard the Vectra's mobile slaughter unit. Keeg instructs two twin-like gentlemen to step into separate pods of the machine and turns it on. The second man's appearance changes in a blink of an eye. Keeg would call this a success. The men would not, since their problem still remains. There are still two of them, and they only have one wife and one son left. Keeg tells the men to simply divide responsibilities. Moreover, one man can keep the name Ben, and the other can go by Ben too. At that moment, Jane enters the room. Keeg eagerly motions Jane over to show her the progress he's made on their tests, but she is more concerned with finding out where Larry has been. Keeg points to Larry's body laying on the couch.
"Captain Traynor is discovering the meaning of existence, as one does while constantly repeating a lifetime unconsciously, or parasailing in Belize. He allows me to continue my work while he explores. As for the tests I ran on you, I can detect no remnants of Dr. Harrison in your psyche. At least, nothing that was shared between you."
"Shared?" Jane asks.
"Dr. Harrison was born in you due to trauma, but she wouldn't have formed without the psychological components of someone who wants to control people."
"Control people," Jane echoes back, more insulted than not.
"Often in the guise of fixing people, held as a conscious or subconscious desire. Do not judge yourself harshly. From what I have learned, it is human nature to desire control or dismantlement, possibly compounded by a bad modeling from a parental figure."
Bad modeling is an understatement. My father was a bastard.
"I must go back inside of Captain Traynor before the team assembly. We will be along in a moment. Might I suggest talk therapy? It seems to work for some humans."
Jane kindly thanks Keeg for the gesture, but refuses, stating she just dropped a psychic bomb on the last doctor in her life. Another one may not be the best idea. Outside, Casey Brink is getting ready to venture into Dannyland. Out of habit, Casey locks the front door behind her, and she barely notices the person sulking on the steps leading up to her apartment. "Hey, Casey," the person sighs. Casey looks down and instantly jumps back when she sees a fully grown cat man with gray fur, in a leather jacket nonetheless. It doesn't take Casey long to connect the dots. Lotion? She can feel herself becoming flustered. "Wow. What happened?" Lotion stands up before removing the hood of his jacket. "I don't know. Everything was all nuts with those dudes shooting up the apartment, so I just took off." "No," Casey tells him. "I mean, what happened to..." A number of police cars speed past the two with their sirens blaring, interrupting Casey. This angers Lotion. "Screw the man!" he yells as he kicks over a nearby trash can in a fit of rage. "Stinking cops. Do you want to go get something to eat? I'm starving." "I've got a team meeting right now, but I can let you into the apartment and we can hang out later." Casey rifles through her keys in order to reopen the front door. Once she does, she stares back at Lotion to escort him inside. "You always had really pretty eyes," he says nonchalantly. "Thanks. Let me get you inside and off the street. I've got a new roommate, but she isn't home right now, so if you stick to my room..." "Cool," Lotion cuts her off. "Whatever." Within Dannyland, Keeg is preparing a presentation to debrief the Doom Patrol. For some reason, Casey is running late, but the team decides it would be best to get started anyway. "Thank you." Keeg bows. "Ricardo, if you would shift to the first slide." Keeg tells them that Danny is injured. Because of this, Keeg does not believe Danny can teleport instantaneously to any point in the universe anymore, nor can he jump slightly back in time or break free from it. At least, not without the necessary components. Keeg motions that component B is joy, happiness, what Danny likes to call positive vibrations. It's why he created the Dannyland inhabitants. They would keep him happy and strong and capable of travel. For a time, component B was all Danny needed to teleport. But now, component B is not enough. Danny must interface with component C. Keeg motions to Casey, who just so happens to be tiptoeing her way into the room. Cliff, tired of Keeg's long-winded ramblings, says, "Okay, so Danny needs Casey to get around. Provided she's on time, we should be good." "That is true, Cliff. But Danny does not have access to Casey in the way he needs. We have been discussing Casey moving into Dannyland." At this time, Casey has no choice but to stick up for herself. "But I love my apartment. It's kind of like the only thing I have that's mine.
Danny needs you. He draws energy from you. The strain of breaking free from time itself. The torture he endured at the hands of the Vectra. And giving birth to powerful things that do not exist. Such as your mother, your father, and yourself has caused.
What do you mean, I don't exist? Casey shouts. I'm sitting right here, existing. Flex Mentallo sympathizes with Casey, stating he came from the pen of a child. He can see why she is frustrated. Keeg states this is precisely what they are saying. Both Flex and Casey have been made physical. They are physical, but they materialized from nothing, which is zero. In some ways, they and the negative entities are alike. We aren't anything alike, Casey snaps.
You are here in this world, but you do not count as...
I breathe, she screams. I touch. I feel. I can take a seat up on the subway. And I can enter my initials when I get a high score on Galactic Matador. And my name stays on top. I count! Danny takes control of the projector and reminds Casey to mind her temper. Instead, she stands to her feet and stomps outside. Fine, I'll live here. I'm spending my last night in the apartment. Then I'll move my stuff in tomorrow. And no, I don't need any help. Elsewhere, Lucius is riding his skateboard down a near-empty road on his way home from school. He likes to skate. It gives him time to think. It gives him time to be alone. And that's where he feels the most comfortable. And, being a lone soul, Lucius has picked up a concerning habit or two. Like collecting roadkill for his own affairs. He likes being alone. The other kids don't get him. They just flip him off and call him names. So why try? As Lucius gets home and steps into the front room of his house, he notices there's a package waiting for him. He also notices that his parents are fighting. Again. His father, Sam, likes to yell, "You want to go somewhere to clear your head? Absolutely not. You're home now, and it's time you started acting like you're a part of this family." I don't want to be acting, Sam. I want to be real. We can't just force this. I've been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. Yes, and yes. Jane used her powers to influence all of us in the cult. But something in my life caused me to seek her out. Something lingers. And I can't tell if it was put there or if it was always there. I'm just asking for a little time to figure this out, Sam. We need to be making up time, Val. Not spending more of it apart. 4 years! Sam bellows, reaffirming his point. I had no identity, Sam. During and before my time with the cult. Yes, I was a mother. And yes, I was a wife. An accountant. Nothing more. My life was on autopilot. I gave up sculpting and all my other dreams. I felt like those dreams didn't exist. Felt like I didn't exist. I had a void in me, Sam. Nothing filled it. Not you. Not Lucius. The boy recoils at the mention of his name. He had been easing closer to the doorway to the kitchen where his parents stood. But at this, he cannot keep quiet. Lucius turns on his heel, snatches up his bag, and stomps into his room. Within the apartment of Casey Brink and Terry Nunn, Casey and Lotion are scarfing down some Chinese food while tuning in to one of Casey's favorite programs, the Star Beamers. Lotion is only slightly entertained. As Casey soaks in the familiar television show intro, she sighs. I really needed some grub and TV. Had a rough day at work. Well, kind of work. None of us really get paid. Screw work, Lotion tells her. Man, these noodles shred. I remember when you used to sneak them to me. I don't get a whole lot to eat out there. It's hard being a street cat. Do you think I could crash here on the semi-regular? Raid your fridge and borrow some cash for beer every once in a while? I guess so. Casey finishes chewing her noodles. I mean, funds are kind of tight, but you technically used to live here. I'd have to clear it with Terry and see what she thinks. Once again, Casey can feel the heat building in her face. But I can totally get you a key. This pleases Lotion, and he kindly leans in to lick Casey on the lips. His rough tongue brushes against the tip of her nose and brings a strange, semi-nostalgic feeling with it. Casey looks back at her former cat, and what happens next, she can't really explain. That night, within the Reynolds residence, Lucius is back at work. Shrouded in both his cloak and the silence of night, he scatters and lights his candles one by one. He then pulls out a dead squirrel, the piece of roadkill he happened across earlier that day, and places it in the center of a family fun board game board. He doesn't have anything better, so the board will have to do for now. And then, he plays a record backwards before reciting an incantation. Nameless and newborn, I invoke thee. Callers of the sacred flame, I present thee. Tree dweller, bushy-tailed, this rodent body of ruin, thy true name, Screeriday. Tire-treaded searcher, struck down on blacktop, crowded with machines, wire to wire, branch to branch. I am the watcher, unlovable. I am the fly, unwanted. I seek power. Imbue me. I seek the color unknown to man. I seek chaos and change. Take me far from here. Unfortunately, the incantation doesn't work. Once again, Lucius is finding all of his effort to be in vain. Maybe his dad was right. Maybe he is just wasting his time. Feeling dejected, Lucius looks over the package he grabbed earlier. He rips it open to find a colorful book cover with a picture of two friendly rabbits on it, waving back at him. Above them, the words, "The magical world of magic."
The hell is this?
Lucius sighs before carelessly throwing the book behind him and onto his bed. Then, he convinces himself to try the incantation one more time. Inside Dannyland, within Keeg's laboratory, Flex Mentallo is hooked up to a machine which is currently siphoning out a portion of his powers of muscle mystery. Meanwhile, Cliff makes his way over to the couch where Larry is sleeping. "Hey, Keeg," he asks. "How long has Larry been like this today? I haven't seen him around at all."
He has been like this for some time. Captain Trainer has instructed me to wake him for team meetings, 1 meal a day, and when a new episode of Antique Hunters airs.
That's what I thought. I haven't seen him around lately, and frankly, it's starting to worry me.
I wouldn't be concerned, Cliff. I believe he is learning a great deal on these excursions.
You don't learn by dreaming. You learn by living, Cliff counters.
I do not believe that is entirely true. We can learn from both conscious and subconscious experiences. And right now, he is experiencing.
And he is experiencing, that is. Larry is living through instances and learning lessons he will carry with him forever. He learns, just like the mere insects in the soup of this madness. It's the little things that hurt. It's the big things that ruin. Forgiveness, and how you chase it, becomes the only thing that keeps you going. Will he feel anything today? And will it even matter? Unfortunately, wondering where you fit in the world doesn't always lead to the greenest of pastures. Sometimes, it leads to letting your inhibitions run rampant. And some decisions turn to memories clouded in regret. Casey wakes up in her bed with Lotion laying beside her. A loud banging is coming from the kitchen, which Casey decides must have been what stirred her awake. That, and the guilt. As she leaves her room, Casey finds her roommate, Terry, unloading a bag of items on their counter.
Hey, roomie!
Hey, Terry. How's it going?
Not too bad. Busy day. How about you?
I'm good. Lotion came back, but I have some bad news about where I'll be living now.
News schmooze. Lotion came back?
At that moment, Terry hears a voice coming from the television and instantly realizes that it's the commercial she's been waiting for.
It's on! My commercial! Come and watch this!
Casey sits on the couch and keeps her eyes on the screen. On it, there is a pyramid made of boxes of some product they're trying to sell. Surrounding the pyramid on each side are a bunch of can-can girls, dressed similar to how Terry was when Casey first met her. All the girls are smiling and singing what Casey can only assume is the jingle to the item they're pushing. And it goes along the lines of, "These people just can't get enough of that shit." What is this stuff? Casey asks, confused. Then, A man walks onto the stage, waving to the audience. The name's Eddie Zilch, and I'm here to tell you all about the newest, most ingenious product to hit the shelves. Shit! The healthy, animal-free, all-natural food additive that instantly makes anything you put it on extra delicious and good for you. Casey winces. This guy is weird. Here's my big part, Terry cheers. At that moment, Terry walks onto the stage. That's right, she says. Everyone, get your hands on the greatest thing known to man. Guaranteed to absolutely change your life forever. The commercial ends with a drawn-out health warning and disclaimer, which concerns Casey and doesn't concern Terry as much. Terry, instead, offers Casey a sample so she can try the shit for herself. And, surprisingly, it's the single most greatest thing Casey has ever tasted. It completely floors her. Terry smiles down at her and tells Casey that it's simply the Posy crystals working their magic. But then, out of nowhere, the two women hear a crash coming from outside. They soon discover that Danny the ambulance was overturned and is now more damaged than he was before. Jane, Larry, Cliff, and Flex exit out of Danny to figure out what exactly is causing the destruction. And that's when they find two rather aggressive looking automatons. Each of them telling the Doom Patrol, "Fight us, say I love you, fight us and say it, say I love you." Jane asks the question on everyone's mind. What are they? I don't know, Cliff answers. But my fear of commitment is gonna complicate things. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Corey from the OverLook, and we go over the books you may have overlooked. So this video, I want to give you guys a little info before we actually get into it. It was supposed to be much longer, but what happened was a couple of things. Number one, a corrupted file. Number two, the DC Universe app and website went down for about half a day. Number three, I live next to an airport, so there's always air traffic in there, and I don't want that to be in the back. Number four, I live next to a university, so there's always traffic going towards there. And number five, my neighbors just started doing construction inside their house, so there's a buzzsaw in the background. So, I cannot record this, so I'm just going to upload this first part right now and upload the second part tomorrow morning. Again, I'm sorry, I know you guys have been waiting on this one. This is the return of Mr. Nobody, so yeah. Sorry about that, but I'll try to get the other one out as soon as possible. It's just very noisy and it's an issue. Anyway, let's get started. Clifford Steele used to dream that he was human again. Not too long after the accident, it started to happen. First, he'd smell the melting rubber and burning hunk of metal they pulled him out of. His harness melting to his skin. And then, for a split second, he'd remember the pain. The last moments of flesh and bone. It happened for years. Then, one day, it just stopped. That was a bad day. Now, the only way Cliff can almost feel it is by getting his ass handed to him. One would say, this is living. Say I love you, hisses one of the automatons as it strikes Robot Man with an uppercut. Hit me harder, "You punk," he grunts back before swinging forward with a punch of his own. Seemingly, the attack doesn't faze the thing very much at all. The automaton raises its blaster and shoots Robot Man point blank and sends the hero crashing into Danny the ambulance. Crazy Jane kneels down to make sure Robot Man is okay. "Where's all my teeth?" he asks, confused and alarmed. "I need my teeth. I feel fuzzy and warm." The automatons approach. "I ship it. Say I love you." "Jane," Robot Man begins as he regains his composure. "I can't hide it any longer. I gotta say something. I feel love right now. Stronger than I've ever felt for you. I love you, Jane." Meanwhile, Mr. Negative releases the negative spirit and it crashes into one of their enemies, sending the automaton off balance. But ultimately, does more damage to Keeg, the spirit. "Where is Rebus?" one automaton asks. "Now, Jane, say I love you. Say I love you." Crazy Jane squints her eyes. "I'm not sure this is the best time. Boys and girls and boys must be together and say I love you. We must have it." Crazy Jane analyzes the situation. Wait, these constructs seem to be growing in power. They need us to do what they say. Cliff. She turns to Robot Man and looks him in his eyes. "I hate your guts. It's true. I hate you with every atom that makes me whole. Suck eggs." At the same time, Flex Mentallo uses his powers of muscle mystery to dismantle their opponents, piece by piece. Enough for Keeg to land a finishing blow and knock one of the automaton's heads off its shoulders. Neon green liquid oozes out of the open headspace. Frayed wires and tubes flare about, spilling even more into the open air. "It's like they're made of paper now," Flex comments, slightly upset at his own brutality. Then, the robot's chest opens up, and a man, connected by wires and covered in the green liquid, rolls out and onto the street. "Cookie, no!" screams the other automaton as it kneels over and approaches the collapsed man. "No! No!" The second automaton then opens up as well, and a second man exits out of its chest. "Cookie, say I love you. It's Nolan. I am here. Nolan is here. You are gone. You are free." The Doom Patrol watches in silence. Cliff is the first one to speak. "Something familiar about these guys. Like I knew them a long time ago." Jane is still at a loss of words, but she knows she has to do something. Say something. So she reaches out her hand, but it trembles. Before Jane can, Larry Traynor places his hand on Nolan's shoulder. "I'm sorry, but it's going to be okay." Larry looks over his shoulder and sees both Casey and Terry approaching. "Casey, Danny is hurt. Keith says we should move you into Dannyland right away." "I understand," Casey says solemnly. Suddenly, both Nolan and the man that fell out of the second automaton begin to dissolve into a viscous purple sludge. The team stares at the strange purple puddle and shares another grim silence before deciding it may be best to pack Casey's things now. Then, they will figure out who's trying to bend them to their will. Within the Reynolds family house, Lucius is practicing his incantations and magics. His goal, to create a physical ball of energy.
Forms of darkness, I call thee. Those beneath the flame, I challenge thee. Reveal yourselves to me now, and give me the power. Give it to me.
Lucius opens his eyes and realizes that he is succeeding. A small orb of energy hovers between his fingertips, and, for a second, he gets distracted by its aura, and it disappears.
No! He screams. Come back! Don't do this to me!
Now enraged, Lucius rips his record out of the player and throws it against the wall, shattering it. After a moment, he realizes his folly.
Damn it! He sighs. That was my only copy.
Then, Lucius remembers the mail he received earlier. The magical world of magic.
Let's see if you're hiding anything in reverse,
he says as he enters the record into the player. As soon as the boy lets the record play, a spiral of prismatic colors erupts out of the player. The force of the wind generated picks up papers, clothes, even his chair and laptop, and flings them into the air.
The sounds! Lucius screams. They're trying to get into my head. They're gone?
Lucius opens his eyes and realizes he's not in his room anymore. He isn't anywhere. Now, Lucius is just hovering in an empty space that goes on seemingly forever. But he isn't alone. There is a strange old man with even stranger glasses sitting not 3 feet away, smiling back at him.
Good morning, Lucius. I've got a question for you. What do you think is in my hands?
Lucius looks down and sees the old man's hands are clasped together.
That's it. Give him a gander. What in the world could possibly be in there? Shit, Lucius answers. You've got shit in your hands.
Close. The man attempts to contain his glee.
But it's nothing, Lucius. Nothing at all.
Elsewhere, a hero in a red cape muses to his assistant. Most of what is said could be declared the ramblings of a madman. However, one thing is for certain. He is sick and tired of all these work meetings. Richard, he calls out to his assistant. Compose message. Begin. Dear cousin, I hope this finds you in fair weather. Due to unforeseen circumstances, I am unable to attend your baby shower as I had promised. I am the ruler of all things. Star stuff, implosion, and one's understanding of the words courage and valor. Master of the hopes and dreams sewn into the tights of supermen and superwomen. Lord of the stratosphere, where the radioactive can render you blind or imbue you with the senses of a jaguar. I am God of that, because God is dead. I bashed his brains in with a brick, and they scraped him off the pink marble floor, disposing of his body unceremoniously in a dumpster. Please, send my love to your mother and husband. I am regretfully sorry to disappoint you, but that is who I am. The disappointment. Strangle yourselves on shock pink rosaries as you drown in awe. Dangle your hearts above the whirling blades of mundanity. No hope, no home. You will piss, you will scream, and I will remain. Always yours. End message. Status report. The disappointment looks down at his assistant, Richard.
The mod in question is still giving us some trouble.
Richard answers.
We ran a stress test and they shrugged it off like a bee sting. As expected. They are highly resistant to Metacon. Retcon is worried that the mod could have an interaction that might destabilize things, interrupting our broadcast to the Eonymous.
Bring it on. And the search for my bride
continues to prove difficult. Being that she has never fully existed, we are looking into other avenues, going in deep.
The disappointment walks over to the counter and picks up an issue of his comic. Cancelled, he huffs. They thought it would stop me. But I will have my wedding. I will have my day of resolution. And then I will pull the plug on this son of a bitch. In the apartment of Casey Brink and Terry Nunn, Casey attempts to eat more of the special shit straight out of the box. That's when Terry walks into the room.
Hey,
Terry says softly.
Looks like you're all moved out.
Yeah. The rest of the team grabbed most of my stuff and loaded it into the ambulance. Casey apologizes for such short notice. On the bright side, she's leaving the TV and most of the furniture. As long as whoever is moving in doesn't mind a giant hole in the wall, Terry should have no problem finding a roommate. Then, Casey hands Terry a note to pass on to Lotion, if he ever decides to stop by.
No problem,
Terry tells her.
I guess this is goodbye for now. Maybe we can meet up and...
Casey does the unexpected. Again, she leans in all the way and kisses Terry. At first, Terry is taken aback, but eventually, she returns the favor. Casey's passion quickly takes over and she steps forward and attempts to press Terry against the wall. Instead, they both run into the covered hole and topple out of the building. The two plummet to the ground for a short while before Casey's suit, built-in parachute, activates and provides them both the ability to gently coast through the air. And, as they do, the world around them begins to transform. Lucius is now on an open road in the middle of nowhere.
Where am I?
He asks.
Well, my friend, it ain't Albuquerque. Who are you, and what do you want with me?
I've been a lot of things, the strange man answers.
Villain, legend, presidential candidate, somebody, anybody. But none of them stuck. Now, I'm back to nobody. Mr. Nobody. I led a group of weirdos who made life more interesting for a band of wet blankets we call the Doom Patrol. Some people called us criminals, but I call them short on vision. We were called the Brotherhood of Dada. Dada?
Lucius asks.
Like the upside down urinals.
Mr. Nobody leans forward.
Dada schmada, my dear boy. That's old news. If we're gonna make a comeback, it's gotta be fresh.
Everything, everyone, unwanted, unloved, unknown, they come to me. Which is why you're here. We're going to zero out all of existence, reboot, remake, remodel, regurgitate, and behold. A car pulls up, filled with a cast of strange characters. The Brotherhood of Nada! Some brand new friends I picked up who have nothing in common. Daisy Langton, a promising young scientist who had the misfortune of botching an experiment with radioactive cement. The accident rendered her cold and inhuman. The only thing that keeps her alive is feeding on the pain and misfortune of others, which she'll gladly bring about with her monstrous strength. She's known as the Brutalist. No feeling. Hector Alvarez was just a mild-mannered boy who loved building sandcastles at the beach, when one day he found a metal detector of alien origin. Now, he uncovers adventure, loose change, and anything else. Wherever he goes, he's Hector, the boy detector. No hiding. 50% Chad! The mysterious pair of oversized legs, feet, bits, and tush. Nobody knows where they come from. Did they belong to someone else? Someone large? Is there more Chad? The whiff of failure, the clammy skin, the mere sight of these ham hocks, and the breath of his cloud of desperation will make anyone quit. No pants! Alice DeBreeze. The Breeze. Even from a young age, Alice was an ace at everything. Whiz kid, track star, darts champ. Alice was so good at everything that people just got bored of her. She never had it hard, and there's nothing that don't come easy. No problem. And you, unloved, unwanted, uncooperative, the great Ludini, the teenage nothing, the most powerful wielder of gonzo sorcery this side of Cramelot. Right now, there are millions of people out there eating a mostly all-natural food additive that will 110% screw up their entire existence once I give the high sign. You, me, the rest of these jokers, giving reality a well-placed kick to the teeth and starting it over. No rules, no parents, no classical music. What do you say, kid? Lucius looks down and examines himself. He's now in a full magician's getup. He shrugs and climbs into the car. Sure, why not? I don't have any better offers. Mr. Nobody laughs as the car then races into the distance. Onward, he bellows, to the city where my daughter awaits. The next morning, within the Reynolds house, Valerie walks into the kitchen and finds a package waiting for her. The label on the package reads, Artists, Sculpting Clay. And on top of that, a note, which reads, Shape what you dream. Valerie gazes at the words on the paper in disbelief. That's when Sam enters the room. Not that you need to brush up on your skills, but there's a week-long sculpture retreat, immersive, out of town, and I cleared out that little office I never use, so you've got... Oh! Valerie lunges forward and wraps her arms around Sam, catching him off guard, and tells him she's not going anywhere. They'll figure things out together, and the things they can't, well, she'll just go find someone to talk things through with. And
What the hell are you wearing? Sam looks down at the picture of Beast Boy on his t-shirt.
Oh, this? Lucius and I used to watch this show before he got hardcore. I still kinda watch it now. This guy's my favorite. Look, Val, we're all here for you. And when you need space, just say the word. But, just so you know, we like having you around.
I like being around, Valerie confirms. I better talk to Lucius. Valerie gently knocks on the boy's door before entering, and when she sees what's inside, she can't help but gasp. The room is a mess. All of Lucius's personal items and belongings are broken and scattered across the area. But, strangely enough, some of the items are put together so meticulously that they read out, "Thanks for nothing." On top of the supermarket, there is a soft click. Terry Nunn turns the dial on her small radio and a song comes on. It's a swing song, strange enough, and the music electrifies the air around her. Then, she slides on her real shoes and snaps the buckle around her ankle. Tap, tap, tap. She begins to dance. Tap, tap, tap. Beneath her, on the city street, and, most likely, within the supermarket itself, people begin to transform. Random people, civilians. Each of them are either currently consuming or have recently consumed some product from the brand of snacks and treats called shit. Their bodies morph and bubble. Their muscles pop. Their organs burst from their skin and wrap around their respective bodies until they are nothing but orbs of flesh. And each orb is seemingly stranger than the last. Some sprout orbs of their own. Some sprout spikes. Some keep their arms and legs. And some change color. And all of them begin to float in the air. Casey Brink wakes up on the city street with no idea how she got there. Last she remembers, she was with Terry. A giant floating centipede crawls through the air above her. Not only that, there is a walking eyeball and a blue hippopotamus guided by a man with a hammerhead in a red cape. There is a floating Pac-Man wearing sunglasses, strange polka dots, and a Pinocchio blowing raspberries and holding a fish. Obviously, something is wrong. Within the Reynolds home, Sam and Valerie called the Doom Patrol to help find their missing son, Lucius. At first, they thought he just ran away, but Lucius never goes anywhere without his skateboard, and something about his room feels different. Larry scans the room and picks up some negative vibrations from the floor, like it's some sort of contact point to another place. The question is, where? Flex, on the other hand, notices the Reynolds have a balanced assortment of vegetables in their refrigerator. If Lucius is eating them regularly, he's getting the right kind of vitamins and nutrients a growing teenager needs. At that moment, Cliff walks into the room and tells everyone there's something on the television that they'll want to see.
Everybody walks into the front room and sees Mr. Nobody on the news being interviewed downtown. They make it just in time for the news reporter to finish speaking. And right here, I've got a gentleman who can explain. That's right, Peter. The short and sweet of it is everyone ate shit, and now all of reality is getting jacked. Now, would you say that all this madness is reversible? Absolutely not! More so, as the shit inside everyone continues to activate, eventually it'll hit critical mass and break all of reality. And then, Mr. Nobody looks into the camera and tells all the viewers watching at home, they're welcome. Within his throne room, the disappointment stares at the cover of a small booklet given to him by his assistant, Richard. The fuck is this? The disappointment asks.
It's a film script,
Richard responds.
for a Hollywood adaptation of Haxalon, the Star Archer.
A film. So many possibilities robbed from me. I could have been an entertainment force of nature. A theme park. A Pez dispenser. How does any of this help us find my bride, Richard?
Coincidentally, in the film version of your comic, the final scene is a wedding between Haxalon and Starline. Pretty happy ending. So, Retcon did some digging and found this. It's barely a footnote, but it turns out they had cast the part of Starline hoping to entice investors to the film. An actress by the name of Rita Farr.
Rita Farr. Who is Rita Farr? The disappointment wonders aloud.
In one reality, she was just an actress who had a pretty good run. In another reality, she was an actress who had an accident that gave her the ability to stretch to enormous size. In that reality, she was a member of Mod 983, also known as the Doom Patrol.
The unstable mod. Retcon knows where to find them. Bring me Rita Farr.
We've been having some difficulty with that, for reasons we can't explain.
A corporation in the outer ring of existence. A thing inside the thing around the thing can hijack, manipulate, alter, and composite fragments of any reality, fictional or otherwise, and you can't find me this thespian woman? How am I supposed to have my wedding massacre? My revenge? How am I supposed to pull off the finale of all finales? Cutting the broadcast to the Eonymous and allowing them to destroy everything. Then, out of nowhere, a siren goes off and all the emergency lights turn on, painting the room red. What the hell is that? The disappointment and Richard approached the computer monitor in front of them.
Must be some kind of system strain putting Retcon on high alert.
No shit.
It's the Doom Patrol,
Richard gasps.
We've been monitoring Mod 983, but it's getting out of hand. There's a substance called shit that is causing the reality to distort. If the Doom Patrol can't put a stop to it, an irregularity may occur that can break this reality, putting them right in our sphere.
Figure it out! The disappointment pulls out a gun. I don't want anything jeopardizing my plans. Now, get your ass back to the office and don't come back until it's handled. And find Rita Farr. Downtown, the news reporter interviewing Mr. Nobody has transformed into a giant inflatable panda. Mr. Nobody, of course, takes it upon himself to inflate the panda even more.
You know, you really do ask the important questions.
At that moment, the breeze rolls by in an empty shopping cart. "Why are we here again?" she asks coolly.
Because you showed up!
Mr. Nobody snaps back. Meanwhile, Hector, the boy detector, uses his jetpack to fly through the air, and 50% Chad punts over a man with an oversized cranium. The brutalist uppercuts an innocent, and Lucius, now known as the Great Ludini, summons a boxing glove out of his magic hat to knock out a police officer. However, as fun as things may seem at the moment, things aren't looking good for the Brotherhood of Nada, because the Doom Patrol have finally arrived. The first one to jump into the fight is Robot Man. He rushes Mr. Nobody and uppercuts him into the supermarket. Crazy Jane orders the rest of the team to follow them into the store. They have to stop whatever is activating the product that is screwing up the whole city. Robot Man continues to chase Mr. Nobody through the aisles. Mr. Negative releases the negative spirit, and it tries to pin down Hector, the boy detector. The breeze rolls in on her shopping cart, and Flex Mentalo fights 50% Chad. And all the while, Space Case is searching for her roommate, Terry Nunn. "Terry, where are you? Terry, please. I'm sorry if I did something wrong." She sprints through the chaos, through Chad's fart clouds of desperation, through the overturned boxes of shit, all the way to the staircase in the back of the room. Meanwhile, Crazy Jane has her hands full with the Great Ludini. The magician pulls a mustached frog out of his hat, and it croaks madly in the woman's face. "Wait, Lucius, just hold on. Don't you have any superpowers, lady? I don't really want to gobble you up, but the frog is hungry." At that moment, both Sam and Valerie arrive, pleading for their son to stop. "This is her, right?" Lucius asks. "She's the one who took you away?" Valerie, again, attempts to talk her son down, explaining that Jane may have controlled her mind, but it was her fault for running away in the first place. "She took you away from us, and then you were gone, and Dad didn't have time for me anymore." Valerie wishes she could take every hurtful thing back, but she can't. The only thing she can do is admit she made the mistake and beg her son not to do the same. And promise that it will be better than it was before if they stick together. The family shares a brief moment before the room is painted red and a squirrel-like creature with demon horns and bat wings appears.
"Lucius,"
it hisses.
"we must hurry. The kingdom is in danger. You have real magic inside you. I've been trying to contact you for months, but I've been imprisoned.
Your last bit of magic at home gave me a way to escape. You must follow me into the demonscape and reclaim your throne. I'm not going anywhere without my family, the boy responds flatly. So be it, the creature hisses, and within a flash, the entire family is transported elsewhere. Casey makes it to the roof of the supermarket and finds Terry in a strange getup with a pattern on it that somewhat resembles a maze. Terry, I've been looking for you everywhere. I was worried that you were upset that you know. Casey is cut short as she finally examines her surroundings. Are you a bad guy? She asks. Why would I be upset? Terry asks back, coyly, when suddenly, Terry's stomach begins to swell. Both of the women's eyes expand as well, humorously so. That? Casey mumbles. Are you? Shit. Okay, we better get you to the hospital. Terry Nunn and Casey Brink. A nobody and a nothing. An improbable union that was elevated to preposterous levels by simultaneously ingesting a really, really fresh box of shit. This caused a new spontaneous formation of unknown and dynamic results. Terry Nunn doesn't exist. Casey Brink doesn't exist. What kind of baby do you think they will produce? And will the birth of the baby break reality? Niles Calder is curious to find out. From within his throne room, the disappointment watches it all unfold. From the Retcon Company, Richard and the other workers watch as well. Casey rushes Terry into Danny the ambulance, and, by the looks of it, Terry is now expecting any minute. Casey cannot comprehend what is happening. She can barely take care of her cat. She can't be a mom. Ricardo and Fug are in attendance as well and offer their assistance. While Casey is driving the vehicle, they will look after Terry with the utmost care. Behind the ambulance, the Doom Patrol pedal away on their stolen bicycles. Flex, instead, stole some diapers for the baby. He would have taken a bike as well, but he has a fear of bicycles. More importantly, a sprint will provide a better muscular stimulus for the entire body. Meanwhile, Larry examines his own bicycle before turning to the rest of the team and explaining that he thinks his bike used to be a person. However, there isn't any time to take that information in because the Brotherhood of Nada are after them. Mr. Nobody pulls up in his car and forces his way through the small fleet of bicycles. Oh, well, my goodness, what were they doing in the middle of the street in the first place? All hands on deck, strangeoids. Time to hitch a ride. I'm about to become a grandfather. Within the ambulance, Casey tells everyone to hold on. Danny may be a little weak, but she can sync with him so that she can floor it and push the ambulance to its maximum potential. Terry screams out that she doesn't want to do this anymore. So, without looking, Casey reaches her arm back and grabs onto Terry's hand. Hold on to something. I've got a clear shot, Casey says. And Terry? Yes? I think I like you. I kinda like you too. The moment is cut short when Terry's stomach cramps with another contraction. The baby is coming, and soon. The Brotherhood of Nada eases their way in between the Doom Patrol and the ambulance, and Robot Man reaches out for the bumper, with the rest of the team, in turn, reaching out for him. And the entire caravan of Strange barrels down the city street. The baby is coming. Terry gasps out for breath as the contractions intensify and the intervals of pain become closer and closer together. From the Retcon Company, Richard and the others watch in amazement, each of them in sheer awe as they are all witnessing the birth of an Omni-Blink. Now, they can initiate Retcon Plan C. The disappointment, on the other hand, does not share Richard and the others' excitement. He is not pleased, and he shuts his computer monitor off in frustration. Everything around the ambulance and the caravan fades to white, and everything around the Doom Patrol becomes indistinguishable from one another as they all arrive and travel through a blindingly empty void. But, all of a sudden, they break through an invisible wall. Danny the ambulance, as well as the caravan following behind, crashes into an open room within the Retcon organization. And, out of nowhere, a group of people begin to applaud. Hey guys, this is Corey from the OverLook, and we go over the books you may have overlooked. So, we tried something new with the Doom Patrol videos this time around and split each issue into 2 different videos. How did you like it? Honestly, was it easier to digest? I won't do the same for Spider-Man, but I feel like the shorter videos would help out a lot with the Lock and Key series. What do you think? Anyway, I also split this issue into 2 videos, so the last part will be out tomorrow. Hope you enjoy. First, there was a ball. It was simple. It was fun. And it was new. This was entertaining for some time. But really, it's just one ball. Then, there was another ball. And this ball was different. And you could do things with 2 balls that you couldn't do with 1. And this was new. Until it was not. And so, there was another ball. And another. And another. And another. And so on. And so on. And so on. Until the balls had been forgotten. There was a girl. Her name was Kay Chalice. Now, she goes by Jane. And Jane remembers a man with diamond rings put her to sleep. He blew out the candles and walked outside, breathing in the night. He got into his car and drove to the ocean. The man walked across the beach to the water where the waves break, and he took a breath. He pointed to the air. He looked to the sky. He waited for the stars to carry him home again. The event tainted Jane. She may be tainted still. And, just like when she confronted her father, Jane is face to face with a monster. The man responsible for everything that happened to her and Danny. You, she scowls. Tell me who you are. The disappointment smirks from his throne. I am what comes at the end. I am the disappointment. I am wreck, and I am ruin. I'm so much nothing. I am everything. I am burst in bloated dreams, and I am a mountain of unforgivable things. The disappointment approaches Jane, but she is not deterred. You're not a mountain. You're a hill, and we are going to step all over you. Is that right? The disappointment places his hand onto Jane's forehead, and, in an instant, she is rendered unconscious. Jane's body collapses to the floor as her mind is sent elsewhere. The underground. Cliff is the first to call out for her. Then, he turns his rage on the man in the red cape. You empty-looking egghead! What the hell did you do to her? I sent her back to her quiet place. You see, I was once a tangible thing, until that was stolen from me. So, now I take and take and take. But I started as Haxalon, the Star Archer, and they had big plans for me. I started as a solution. A factory in Guangzhou came upon a near endless supply of special green light bulbs, left over from a clandestine military endeavor in the 60s, and mysteriously fresh. The owners of the plant had recently switched their operations from building bombs to molding plastics, and partnered with a struggling toy company in America that needed a hit. So, I was born, starbow in hand, projecting my viridescent rays upon the world. There were bed sheets, there were lunch boxes, and there were comic books and crossovers. I was licensed, I was loaned, I was making my masters buckets of cash. Then came disaster. It was discovered that the bulbs themselves affected children, giving them sublime cosmic visions. But prolonged exposure left them in a near catatonic state. Some never fully recovered. The company was litigated. The factory closed. The comic series was terminated abruptly. I was cancelled. And with that, my identity, my existence, stripped from non-reality. But with that deletion came a freedom from the very laws of existence. Able to slide anywhere, I found this place, Final Heaven, nearly outside all things save one. And inside Final Heaven, I found Retcon, an unassuming corporation operated by undying hacks who had access to any reality, who were capable of hijacking fragments from their crystalline state and creating composite new realities, hyper realities, and lording over them, a figurehead they pulled from old four-color adventures, a being made real, the god of superheroes, master of all, real and imaginary, a beacon of hope and omnipotence. And I wanted his job. But he was invincible. Or so I thought. It turns out, Retcon had material on everyone, and I found his weakness. A brick that could think. It was a swing in the dark, but I set out to find that thinking brick. After what seemed like eons, I found one, albeit with some unnecessary baggage. But I had everything I needed to take the god of superheroes down. And so, I did. Mercilessly. As for the brick and the girl, I left them in their weakness. Some people just want a simple, quiet place where everything is a comfort and heroes never die. Too bad. Jane is back in the underground, stuck on the subway, and driver 8 is nowhere to be found. It speeds down the empty corridor. The only sounds outside Jane's thoughts are from the screeching of the metal wheels on the tracks. And then she remembers the man. He drove to the ocean. He drove to the ocean and looked at his hand. He looked to the sky. He waited for the stars to carry him home again. I'm what? Cliff bellows, demanding the disappointment assistant, Richard, to repeat himself.
Fan fiction. There's tons of this stuff. It's really good, actually. People are very attached to an older version of you, and especially interested in your relationship with Jane.
Richard opens a stack of papers in his hands and begins to read.
Robot man punching darn near everyone he meets. Longing for the human body he cannot have. Pining for the only human who understands his pain. It's all very sweet, macho, and fun. Your parents were most likely teenagers huddled behind their keyboards, or odd man children obsessed with the stories that shaped their youths. A mix of nostalgia and an inability to let go of the past. You're the Cliff who never left Jane, but was ripped away from her for dramatic effect. The continuous Cliff is busy having superhero battles in another reality, considerably more important.
Cliff tilts his head. So, how did I end up in that alley in the city after sending the fly-worshipping shock troops to oblivion? And where did everyone else come from?
Retcon uses billions of contact points, spread through all realities by different means, originating from a reality shard made of composite reality crystals, hyper-realities. In the case of the apocalyptic fanfiction you were in, we used the contact point manifested by a lamb ingesting the minerals of a reality shard to bring you in. Some of the lamb ended up on a gyro that an EMT was eating, and it all just worked out nice and simple.
And what the hell are the flies? Cliff asks, now getting angry. Eyes, the disappointment responds. Or a representation of the ever-present fear that artists and dreamers endure. Take your pick. But in reality, it's infinite entertainment for the starving masses. But most importantly, the Eonymous. As if they were part of a hive mind, the Doom Patrol wonder aloud, who are the Eonymous? Meanwhile, Richard and the others at Retcon bring out a wad of skin with a pair of tongs, place it on the ground, and then shine a green light onto it. The disappointment explains the Eonymous are the television-addicted gods whose sole purpose is to destroy the universe, but who value entertainment above all else. They need constant distraction, uninterrupted. Each of the members of the Doom Patrol come from different realities, real and imagined. They're a mashup, and people love mashups. It's all been focus group tested. You're a monster who controls people's lives, Casey shouts. We're not a game. The disappointment steps forward. Didn't you have sex with your cat? Yeah, I don't think we need to hear any more out of you. Casey grits her teeth. He's a man-cat with his own free will, and I can get down with whoever wants to get down. Obviously, which is how we ended up in this mess. The piece of skin under the care of the green light bubbles and swells, melding itself into a fully formed adult woman. But not just any woman. The disappointment approaches her. Your reality is a construct. Nothing is real. And if nothing is real, then everything is real. It's all digestible. But I've decided it needs to end. 'Cause I'm tired of shit. And I've been fooling myself for years that I actually matter. That I control anything at all. Really, I'm just a slave. We all are. So, let's kick things off. The disappointment stands to the side so that the Doom Patrol can see his prize. Meet my bride-to-be, Starlene, played by the illustrious and elusive Rita Farr. Being famous for all eternity. The notion certainly intrigued Mr. Nobody. But what's the catch? The retcon employee, Chuck, tells him it's television for the gods. It's the latest and greatest thing. In the room they are standing in now, they can be anywhere, be anything, do anything. And if they do it right into the camera, they'll be directly broadcasting live to the most important viewers in all of existence. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to be mega famous forever. All they have to do is take the ball in Chuck's hand. We're in! Mr. Nobody shouts. The Brotherhood of Nada, on the other hand, are not. And neither is Terry Nunn.
Dad, are you crazy? I don't want to be on TV for a bunch of gods. And you wanted to wipe everything out. That's exactly what will happen if we don't do this. And hello, I just had a baby and he's missing?
You had a baby who doesn't exist. It'll fade into nothing. And I wanted to rebuild the world with our brush in all its insanity. Start over, not destroy everything. That's some supervillain hokum, and I have evolved past that. This is right where I need to be in my career right now.
Well, you can do it by yourself because I'm not coming with you.
At this, Mr. Nobody becomes stern.
I'm sorry, Terry, but I made you up. You don't exist without me. That means where I go, you go.
Meanwhile, the marriage of the disappointment and the newly created Rita Farr is underway. The priest presiding over the ceremony says his final words before allowing the groom to kiss his bride. There is no applause. Not from the retcon employees. not from the guards on duty, not from the Doom Patrol, and certainly not from Jane, who still lays there unconscious on the ground. The disappointment checks his watch. What the fuck? He huffs, annoyed. The number on the clock clicks over to 1:03 p.m. And, after another disappointing silence, an armed squadron breaks through the window and they open fire on everyone in the crowd. The disappointment stands there, hand in hand with his bride, as the thundering bullets and piercing screams fill the air. Cliff and Flex Mentallo do what they can to use their bodies to shield their teammates, but the others in the room aren't as fortunate. One body after another falls to the ground, adding to the accumulated lake of blood. And from the void, the Eonymous watch, undeterred, unfazed, and slightly amused. The chaos ends. Silently, smoke spills out from the soldiers' weapons and clouds the air. The disappointment draws his own pistol and points it towards Rita. I'm sorry, Starlene, he tells her. I saw this on TV. Cliff sees this and calls out for his friend, but it's too late. The disappointment squeezes the trigger of his revolver and, with a bang, shoots his new bride in the stomach. But the bullet doesn't kill her. Instead, Rita's body morphs itself around the bullet as it propels forward. And it struggles, cartoonishly, to penetrate her skin. Like a band of elastic, Rita's body snaps back and expels the bullet, sending it speeding back in the disappointment's direction. The hell? He begins before being struck in the chest and collapsing to the ground. At that moment, the Doom Patrol is hit by a blast of energy from across the room. Richard and more reinforcements from Retcon have arrived.
Quickly, let's get Rita into the new hyper-reality. It's for the best. One big final sale, and we can all retire in peace. As far as the Doom Patrol, leave them here with that maniac. We've got to get going.
And elsewhere, within the underground, Jane finds a little girl painting a picture. But, for some reason, she isn't responding to Jane's call. You don't have to be afraid, says a voice from behind her. Don't be afraid. You don't need to keep hiding. Jane stands there for a moment, eyebrow raised, as she gazes upon a fleet of her own duplicates. It's okay to be us. It's okay to be you. It's okay to feel bad about the past. But it's okay to stop feeling like you deserve it. The little girl approaches Jane and shows her the painting. It's a flower. It's okay to help, the girl says. It's okay to be human. Jane turns back to the others. Each of them raise a hand towards Jane and speak in harmony. And you have always had something inside you, long before the gene bomb. You're a healer, Jane. Within the palace, the disappointment is losing blood, fast. He stumbles his way to his computer and reveals his trump card. The sole button he needs to press to end the transmission to the Eonymous. The lights bleeding out, we can finally stop pretending. From the dirt that we come from to the end of the world. However, just before he presses the button, Jane wakes up and stands to her feet. There's nothing more to do, she tells him. But I'm here now. Jane places her hand on the disappointment's head and releases a feedback of psychic energy. She tells him, I can't save your life, but I can fix your heart. This causes the disappointment to stumble and collapse to the floor. Ugh, I feel something I haven't felt in so long. Peace. If only for a moment, I can be myself again. If even for a breath, I am. Then, within the silence, there is a small round of applause. The Eonimus are pleased with their program and are eager to see what will happen next. And, by the looks of it, it's Nobody TV, the program where absolutely anything is possible. Nothing is repetitive, and it's the only channel available. And now, to be presented is Mr. Nobody's amazing tap dancing daughter. Back in the palace, the Doom Patrol make a break for the exit. The plan is to climb into Danny and head into whatever reality they've brought Rita and Casey and Terry's baby to. Unfortunately, the guards are waiting for the heroes around the corner. The massive beastmen hold up their weapons and order them to freeze. When, out of nowhere, a crimson orb of magical energy appears and blows the guards away. The Doom Patrol stand there in amazement as they are reintroduced to Sam, Lucius, and Valerie.
Greetings, Doom Patrol. You haven't much time.
Lucius hovers between his two parents, emanating a tangible magical aura.
To save your friend, you must follow Retcon into their hyper-reality. But this battle is over for now. You must face the unknown. We have been on a journey of our own, one that is not yet complete. We came from a place called Demonscape, where I am to be king. But there are many things my family and I must do together. I have bought you all the time I can, but now we must return. Expect us when the 7 suns gleam proudly on Umla, but you are on your own for now.
The Doom Patrol lift Danny the ambulance back onto his wheels and thank Lucius and his family for the assistance before jumping back into the ambulance to chase down Rita Farr and the mysterious child. Casey, unsurprisingly, lags behind. She catches a glimpse of Terry on the television, but cannot bring herself to say farewell. She's not good at goodbyes, and feeling things for people is new to her. It's hard at first, because there's nothing safe about loving people, but that doesn't mean she'll stop trying. Stop loving. Stop caring. Or stop running after them. Hey guys, it's Corey. Well, this marks down another series completed. There is an additional part of this called The Milk Wars or something like that, but I think it's a crossover event that wraps up the Rita and Casey storylines. I want to make sure we cover that around the time Season 4 premieres, so that's all the Doom Patrol for now. But if you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate everything. Your support means everything to me, and I can't wait to see what 2022 has in store for our channel.